Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. I have some exciting news, and if you are coming from the podcast that I just recorded, podcast number 59, this is the exciting video that I was talking about, so you made it to the right place. If you didn't watch the podcast, you can go watch that afterwards. But I am very excited to share with you guys what I am talking about. So my creative juices have been flowing nonstop after I went on break, which was just a couple of days ago. So you can imagine the creative energy is just like flowing. And one of the days, I can't even tell you which day, I had the idea of wanting to do something completely different that I've never done before, and it was a risky idea, and I went with it. So here it is. I got my little handy dandy notebook and I started planning it out. And I designed a crochet project and pattern journal / tracker, whatever you want to call it. And I know there are tons of other ones out there on Etsy and everything, but this one is different because it's mine. I designed it. And what's special about this is that it's not for other projects. I mean, it's not for like other crochet things. It's specifically designed like for your pattern, like for your patterns and for your projects that you're working on. So before I get started, my dog is like she's hitting my chair right now, so I'm gonna play with her for a little bit, calm her down before I get started, because that's gonna be a distraction. Okay, I don't remember exactly where I left off because it has been about a couple of minutes, and I was distracted. But nonetheless, I am still very happy. Okay, so I'm just gonna go a quick little overview about what exactly this entails and this holds, and we can go from there. Okay, so it starts off with a cover page, and if you look at my Etsy listing, you can kind of see a very small overview of everything. But you can't actually you can't use it. It's a very, that's just an idea of what the templates look like in the back. So there's a cover page. Then there is 2 table of contents pages for your projects, and on those project pages for the table of contents, you can assign each project a name. They have a number, and then you are able to mark whether or not they're a WIP, an FO, or if you have frogged them. Because sometimes we all frog objects sometimes, or we just go, I'm done with it. We're just gonna stuff that in my closet, pretend that never happened. I do that too. It's okay. So there is an option for you to write that down. And then there are 24 options, 24 slots for projects on it. So because there's 24 objects, I mean, not objects, 24 slots, there's 24 pages for projects. And on the project pages, you can write the name and the number, that way you can match them up with the table of contents. You can write the yarn used, the pattern, the date that you started, finished, your happiness scale towards it. There's a row counter. What else? I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, and there's a note section as well. Because sometimes you just need a little spot for notes. And then there is that's the project section of it, and then there is a pattern section, which entails 2 pages of table of contents as well, so another 24 slots. And then of those 24 slots, you can mark whether or not the pattern is online or if it's a tangible pattern. Because sometimes you have both, whether it's like a Ravelry pattern, a pattern that you designed that's like on your blog or something, or it's something that you printed out. Because I have all 3 of them, so like that'd be cool to just like mark down which one, just like reference back to, and then this would work even well if you use a pattern for your project, and then you can mark down that pattern that you use on that project on that pattern section of the book, just to have it all there together. So that's the pattern table of contents, and then on the pattern pages themselves, there's the name and the title so that it's easier to reference. And then there's the slot, so it just tells you again whether that pattern was online or the paper pattern. And then there is a big section of spots for you to write notes when doing patterns. Because sometimes, especially for myself, like when I'm writing new patterns, I'm constantly scribbling down notes like, okay, this is what row I'm on, this is what I'm supposed to do, but this is what I did instead because this has worked better for what I'm doing right now. I'm supposed to use a size 8 hook, but I use a 5.5, or like whatever the case is. And then there's also a 5-star ratings, like a 5 stars at the bottom, which kind of corresponds with like the happiness scale on the project pages, which I didn't really explain, but they go together basically. So like for the project pages, whenever I'm working on a project, it makes me happy to just look back at it, because whenever I see something, it makes me happy because I'm like, I made that. Like when I was younger, you gave me this, I would have think I bought this at the store. But to realize that 10 years later I would be making this is absolutely insane. So then I can associate those feelings that I'm having with like that happiness scale to say that I gave that item away or something, and then I can look back and be like, oh, this is how I was feeling when I make that item, or something really bad happened that day, so I was upset, so I crocheted, and then I feel happy, or like whatever. That's how I tend to go about things, and I wanted to put that on the project journal because I feel like sometimes that might help you as well. And then the same thing goes with like the star rating. I think you should always review your patterns, review your items from the store that you get, if you bought them off Etsy or like whatever the case is, and say that you reviewed the pattern on Ravelry or Etsy or whatever. You can then review it on your book. That way, in case you forgot what you wrote, you can look down and it's right there and you have it. So I thought that was something cool because I would definitely use that feature, and I thought that you guys might like it as well. So that's all that it is essentially. Like I said, it's a project and it's a pattern tracker. It's not too fancy, it's very straightforward, but sometimes straightforward is just what you need. You don't need anything too advanced because sometimes it's too much information. So that's definitely something going in. So now I just want to talk to you a little bit about what like the theme is about it, I guess. So the theme is like very blue and like ombre-ish with purple. So like I'm gonna pull up the listing. You can kind of tell on the cover page, like that is the ombre I was talking about, and then the pages themselves are mint. I don't know how well you can see that. But yeah. That's that. So in general, it's only 8 pages, but because there's 24 project pages and 24 pattern pages, it totals out to 54 total pages. So it is a PDF file that I am providing through this listing. But what I will be doing, which I recommend that you can do too if you don't have something to write it down like digitally, is I think I might go to like CVS or Staples or something and then print these out and make them into a book myself. I think that would be something really cool, especially around Christmas time, to have like a little Christmas present for myself. Because I wanted it to be colorful, especially because I feel like color brights up your life a little bit more, and that's just, I was making it and I was like, you know what, I want to add color to it, so I'm going to add color. And then especially with like the little things in the corners of the cover pages, I wanted to add those just because I feel like I don't get to play around with a lot of things like that, and it just made me happy to do that. And I feel like that's all that really matters in the end, is that it makes me happy. So yeah, and nonetheless, it might be a lot of ink to print. So I would go somewhere to print it. But if you want to print it yourself, go ahead. But yes, this is a printable pattern, but it does come through a PDF file. So it is possible to work with it on your computer or like your iPad or whatever the case is. But yeah, that's all I had to share, and I thought it was really cool that I was able to do it from a little sketch like this. And I do plan with making more than just crochet with this. Tonight actually, after I post this, I'm gonna work on a knitting one, a loom knitting one maybe a cross stitch, maybe a embroidery. We'll see what happens. And then I just can't wait to see where my imagination goes with this, because I'm having so much fun, and I'm not necessarily the best at this, but it is fun that I'm able to help people. And that's all I got. Bye guys. I'll leave the listing in the description box below.